Often we hear people talking about looking forward to the retirement years and enjoying the free time available as a senior. However, as we age, there are often many challenges that come with that, including health and mobility. So, whose job is it to come alongside our seniors and lend a helping hand? Joining us today to discuss this is Tim Seim. He is the seniors pastor at the Evangelical Free Church in Lethbridge. Good to have you with us, Pastor Tim.
Thank you. Glad to be doing that.
Well, welcome back to Bridge City News. And you work with seniors regularly. So, what are some of the top concerns you hear from seniors? I'm guessing that loneliness would be up there.
It sure is. But the reality is, from my perspective, trying to get seniors to identify what's the cause of the loneliness, because they're going through huge transitions in their lives. And many of those things, the loss of mobility, health limitations. The big one for men is you take your driver's license away when you've been driving for 60 or 70 years. It's a shocking thing for people. So it's what is causing the loneliness, loss of a spouse, all of those things can push us to that. But I think they have to identify that in order to move ahead.
So, what makes them lose their driver's license? Is it just the mobility issues?
Oh, just your ability to think fast enough is usually what comes to the seniors on that. They can't discern quick enough how quickly traffic's moving or those things. And a couple of scary incidents are what usually lead to the family finally saying, "Dad, you really have to take this step." And so it's a big step in that sense. My grandmother, as she aged, and she wanted to know who had invented the term golden years because she wanted it identified and held accountable because she didn't find those years as golden as she had been promised. And I understood that a little bit at the time, but even more now.
Now, hopefully, we have relatives and friends who will take the time to visit, but for some individuals, family members may not be nearby. I think it's a great opportunity for younger people, including teens, to visit seniors, even complete strangers. Your thoughts on that, Tim?
Oh, absolutely. Family's the number one source. If they're not available, we prioritize our seniors on that basis. And our youth pastor came to us 2 or 3 years ago and said she would like the seniors to meet with the youth, high school. And we thought, well, sure, we have never done that. Let's do that. So we organized. The seniors brought all the desserts. So the youth came and ate all the desserts, but we sat around round tables and there were questions there about seniors telling stories about their first trip or where they lived or different things in their life, and the young people could share questions and thoughts and ideas. We've done that twice, and it's already on the schedule for the third year because it was really well accepted by both of those generations. It was a good idea, and what it leads to saying hi when you're in a bigger group. If you see somebody that you've talked to, you can at least take 2 minutes to, how's your school going or how's that taking place? So it's been a good thing.
And talking about young people still, it's always great when young people make time to help seniors figure out their tech stuff like computers and cell phones. The interesting thing seems to be when this happens, there's often an exchange of sorts with seniors having the opportunity to share some stories and wisdom with the younger generation.
Yes, yes. We, my wife and I, we're in that generation. So whenever the grandkids come over, here's the problems we're facing with the computer and the phone, and we can interact over that issue. But the seniors at large find that to be a very, and we have some really techie young people who said, if somebody's locked up with something and they don't have grandchildren or somebody around, let us know. And that's a great resource. We have used them at least 2 or 3 times where we've sent them to visit with somebody and help them to take care of an issue. And that's a real bridge builder.
And when people feel lonely and isolated, this can make it easy to fall into the self pity trap. Any advice for seniors on how to keep a positive outlook on life?
Well, I think your use of the word of the trap is absolutely essential to understand that. It's like a warning flag being waved. And when we talk to seniors or I interact with them, I try to again help them to identify that as something which is wrong and get to the source of it. Because it's like when your smoke alarm goes off in your house, you should get up and go check. Is that a fire or is that just your toast that you forgot about on the counter? But when a warning flag comes, you should want to know what's happening. And so we try to then lead our seniors into, is there something taking place that's new or different? Um, and leading you to kind of like feeling overwhelmed because that's really what self-pity is.
And do you ever see seniors take the extra free time that they now have to reach out to a child or teen who may be struggling and mentor that young person? Maybe they need help with school assignments, or maybe they just have some behavioral issues that they may need help with.
Yes, one of the things I've discovered about seniors, at least those that I'm connected with, is that they still love to serve and help in a way that they can. There's some things they can't do anymore, but they can step in. We have some seniors that are doing tutoring. And we have others that are just available to, offer those words of encouragement at that level. But they love to serve. Most of our ministries, and I keep a running track of that, have seniors involved in the volunteerism because they bring a wealth of experience. As long as you don't live in 1972, you're trying to live in 2020s. You can have something to say, and you can play a role, and that's a valuable thing. And when you're actually doing something that serves into your own spiritual and emotional health in that sense.
And do you observe seniors struggling with their identity and purpose in life now that they're no longer working? I remember, like, my time working at McDonald's, there was like seniors that were working the breakfast shift, and
Yeah.
it gave them like a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning. Same with, like, like when you see the greeters at Walmart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we wrestle with feelings of not having value that when we feel no longer needed?
Yes, I think that's one of the greatest things seniors have to be prepared for because if you lose your sense of purpose, it just creates a lot of other things that come along. Years ago, I read a book. I think Bob Buford wrote the book, The Second Half of Life, and he kind of took, okay, you've lived to this point. Now you're going to go into the second half of your life. It's kind of business oriented. That what's going to be your next career after you've successfully done something for years. But I've applied those principles to seniors as they approach that. What's going to be your plan for retirement? Because retirement and doing nothing is really a dangerous place to be. But we have all kinds of connections with all of our community, food banks, and everything that's taking place here, thrift shops, the MCC, and our seniors just flood those places with service, volunteering, and they get the benefit of being out and doing that.
I remember my pastor telling the seniors in the congregation, "You don't retire, you refire."
Yeah.
And
There's,
for those
there's a
in long term care facilities, do you think churches should consider setting up teams to either take turns phoning or even connecting via Zoom to make sure seniors get some visits?
Yes, we have teams that are assigned individually to people in senior homes. And again, we prioritize that on the availability of family and friends. But as people start to look like they're getting isolated with family because they're not here, and unfortunately, some families just don't step up. But we watch that, and if somebody's sliding into that category, they're assigned a visitor who sees them every week or 2 weeks, and they visit and feed information back as to how we can be helping more specifically. And those visitors, we have people that drive people to appointments, bring them groceries. They just phone the office. We have people that are signed up for doing a little task like that, and it makes a big difference when we can supply a practical need, and those become very, very essential.
And we were talking about driving a little bit earlier in our interview, and you just touched on it in your last answer there. But the sad reality is that for some seniors, driving is no longer an option for them. So, yeah, a great opportunity to offer to get groceries for them or drive them and accompany them to the store.
Sure, yeah, and that's a very practical step, and people are willing to do that. In fact, it's other seniors who really step up. They have a lot of peer care for each other. And those that are driving and they still have great mobility and they can do all those things, we match them up so that they can have somebody they can call, and these people are really glad to help. It's just a matter of getting the information, and it's easy to hold on to that and not want to bother somebody in a way, but we just keep pressing. Nope, we're here. You have to let us know. We want to help you. We are blessed by doing that.
And other areas we could perhaps help seniors with is maybe like some small home repairs, cleaning, mowing lawns, shoveling snow, or maybe even changing a tire, for example. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, oh yes, that just falls into that practical category. Again, that if there's things, and we have a group of men who just work on cars, and uh, so we've encouraged our seniors, if you need advice even about whether something's needed, or they can do something for you. If they can't, they can tell you, yeah, you do need that, and this is what it would look like, just so you feel more confident if you go to a shop and you feel like maybe you're going to be taken advantage of. You know exactly what you're looking for, and exactly what you need to have. And so those things make quite the difference in that.
And there could be some reciprocity here too, because seniors can also give advice on home repairs or home maintenance, or, like teach a young person how to change a tire.
Oh, absolutely. I've retired twice, and here I am sitting in my office, still part-time doing ministry, which I love because it fulfills my purpose. As I do that, and I look at retiring as just retiring from a position, and then looking for what else God has as next. And I had no intention that this would be what I'd be doing right now, but it's a perfect fit, and I'm having a great time, and being blessed by the seniors, because they go through some deep, deep waters. And when I'm there with them and I see their faith working so strongly, it gives me courage for the future, as I will face other issues that will come along. Their faith comes through at the end. They finish well.
And it's always great when you go into stores like Home Depot or Rona and you see a senior working there and they just have a wealth of knowledge and advice for you. And like, if I'm looking for a certain parts, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about, even if I don't know the proper term for it.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And uh, that wealth of experience, I think, is being recognized on a wider scope, like you say, in these various places, retail places and such, because that experience and that knowledge um, is invaluable to places like that. And if you're not serving or finding a place to work a little bit part-time, then you're really not looking, because there's all kinds of opportunities out there, either voluntarily or working for somebody, because you've got a skill that is valuable to them in their company.
And from your observations, what are some things that seem to make seniors thrive? And what are some things that we do or don't do that seem to cause seniors to struggle?
I think the biggest struggle is coming to a place of being labeled, or thinking you're kind of past everything. You have nothing more to offer. If they start to feel that, I think that's the greatest struggle that seniors can face, when they begin to feel like, why am I here anymore? From that perspective, I used to do all these things. My wife's mother was in a dementia care center for a number of years. And one of the things I loved about that particular center was they had a huge plaque on the front of every door, pictures of that patient, that client. When they were younger, it gave information what they did with their work career, their education, pictures of their family. So you walked in there, it wasn't just a senior who was really unable to kind of even communicate properly. It was a human who had lived a very productive life. They had been a professor at some incredible school somewhere. Uh, they didn't, now they're in a stage where they could just be labeled as an old person taking up space. But I really appreciated what they did with that.
Tim Seim is the seniors pastor at the Evangelical Free Church in Lethbridge. Good to have you with us again, Pastor Tim.
You bet. Glad to help.
I'm Naveen Day on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks for watching.